friends, welcome back. My name's Ramon. How are you today? So today we're reviewing a sunscreen. It's not Korean, it's not Japanese, that I've gotten a lot of requests about, and I don't know why. For some reason in the last few weeks this has just come up in my comments very frequently, and I was like, what is the reason why? But looking a little bit more into the sunscreen and having reviewed it now, I kind of understand the reason why. It's accessible, it's easy to get, it's semi-affordable, and it has very good claims behind it. And with that, today we're talking about the Jack Black Performance Ready Oil-Free Sun Guard SPF 45 Broad Spectrum. It's also oil-free, which is really interesting to notice because I feel like sunscreens that are A, very water resistant, but also B, have any form of mineral filter, tend to have very emollient, very greasy textures. And so saying that it's oil-free, I was very interested to see what that felt like and looked like on the skin. But before we get into it, I'm gonna ask that you hit the subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. Give this video a thumbs up. And down below in the comments, tell me, have you tried this? Do you love it? What's your experience with it? And also, what are some of your other favorite water resistant or sweat resistant sunscreens that you're loving? I might be working on something coming up in the future, and I'd love some of your recommendations. Sound off. Also, if you're watching this in real time, and I believe this is going to go live March 24th, I applied to be part of the 2021 Sephora Squad, and therefore I'm asking if you enjoy my content and my videos and you've learned something from them, I would really appreciate you submitting a testimonial, which could potentially help me in the running to becoming part of the 2021 Sephora Squad. I don't really know how that works out, but really appreciate the support. The link for that's going to be down in the description box. And also, while we're on the subject, check out my description box for the link to my Patreon account. I was able to get this thanks to donations to my Patreon from my patrons. On my Patreon, I always ask questions. I ask for your feedback and input as to what to review on my channel. I also post sneak peeks and let you know what's coming up on the channel in this coming week. So if you want to be part of the in crowd, the cool kids, the link for my Patreon is going to be down in my description box as well. So this is from Jack Black, which is a brand I don't know a lot about. In the US, I know we carried the brand in Nordstrom. My best friend Jason likes their lip balms, which also have SPF in them. So if you're looking for an SPF lip product, recommend those. And I know my dad enjoyed some of these products, so I've used, I think, like one of their shave balms or whatever. But I've never personally really used a lot of their products. So when I started seeing this pop up in the comments, I was confused. I didn't know what was going on. And I was like, why all of a sudden is there all this like inquiry on this one item? But looking into the sunscreen itself, I kind of get it. Looking at the claims for this is SPF 45 broad spectrum. And they also market this as being very water resistant at 80 minutes, which is a very high standard in the US. So I'm like, okay. But then looking at the sunscreen filters, I get it. So this is a combo sunscreen with zinc oxide at 8%, as well as octinoxate at 7.5 and octisalate at 3%. So I think a lot of the question behind this is gonna leave a white cast? Is it brown skin friendly? How is it gonna work with facial hair and makeup? So we're gonna talk about that today. So explaining how I'm gonna test the sunscreen out. Since this is a combo sunscreen, we're kind of doing it in the best of both world situations where I take elements from my chemical sunscreen reviews as well as my mineral sunscreen reviews. So how I'm gonna do this is it's gonna be a 2-day wear test. Day 1, I'm gonna do similar to how I do my mineral sunscreen reviews, where I do a half face application, work it in and let it sit down so you can see with sunscreen and without sunscreen, is it gonna leave a white cast and what does it look like on bare skin? But afterwards, I'll work the sunscreen into the rest of my face, and I do a 1/4 teaspoon from my face, my ears, and my neck. I'll work it all in, let it sit down for at least 5 minutes before I go in with makeup on top of it so we see how the sunscreen wears with makeup. But also because this is a combo sunscreen, I'm gonna take an element from my chemical sunscreen reviews where I reapply this on top of makeup as well to see A, if it's gonna work, and B, how it's gonna look reapplied on top of makeup. And for the 2nd day wear test, I'll be applying this on bare skin with nothing else on top of it to see A, how it looks on bare skin, B, if it's brown skin friendly, and then also I will be reapplying it on top of itself to see if there's any white cast. Does it worsen? Is it gonna stay brown skin friendly? How is that gonna work and how is it gonna look? So with that, let's get into it. So looking at the filters again, this is a combo sunscreen, so you have that zinc paired with octisalate and octinoxate. And so with that, with the 2 chemical sunscreen filters, you're bumping up the UVB coverage. And with zinc oxide, you're really getting that full broad spectrum coverage as well. So you're getting really nice photo protection across the entire spectrum for the most part. And that's really it for that. With the formulation points beyond that, this is a very simple to the point sunscreen. You have calendula and a vitamin C derivative, ascorbyl palmitate in this, which ascorbyl palmitate isn't the best vitamin C derivative, I'm gonna be honest, but it's in there. And then the calendula is just more of a very nice like anti-inflammatory ingredient. You got some other botanical extracts in there which might give you some antioxidant benefits or might give you some skin conditioning benefits, but real talk, it's a very simple formulation. This doesn't have alcohol, it doesn't have fragrance or essential oil either, so this could potentially be a really good option for sensitive skin. I never want to make that broad of claim just because skin itself is very subjective, but I also didn't have any experience with this burning my skin, irritating my skin, or anything like that, so in my head this could be a good option for sensitive skin. So my experience with this, I was concerned just because again, seeing that mineral filter is always very concerning as someone with tan skin, with facial hair, as someone who wears makeup. So when I did the 1st day application where I did half the face, I dispensed it out and I was like, oh, this is white. And I started working it to my skin and I was like, oh, this is white. But then the more I worked it into my skin, the more I found that it really melded into my skin really nicely. I found that without really working it in very much, so there wasn't a lot of elbow grease involved, it actually disappeared very easily. It didn't collect in my hairline or my eyebrows or facial hair or anything. And I found this set down really nicely. And you can see on the screen when I do the no sunscreen half face application look, my skin looks good. So after that, I go in with the full face, neck and my ears, again, 1/4 teaspoon for all that. And I found that it set down really nicely, but more so, as the bottle claims, being oil-free, this was not greasy. It didn't have really any rich emollients to it. It gave my skin just a very natural finish. So I was like, okay. I didn't feel it on my skin. It wasn't like I could tell I had sunscreen on. It just felt like, honestly, nothing on my skin. And so I go in, put makeup on top of this, and this prepped my skin really nicely for makeup. There was no weird texture issues, no pilling, no odd textural situations, especially around my eyes. There was nothing clinging on to dry patches on my skin. So that in itself was a really nice experience, and I was very thoroughly impressed. And then on this day, we actually waited a full 8 hours before the reapplication, which I don't recommend doing. But going in with this for reapplication after 8 hours, I was once again thoroughly surprised. This did not do a lot to mess up the makeup. It didn't lift any coverage or anything. I found that this actually reapplied on top of makeup very nicely. Because it didn't have a lot of emolliency to it and it was oil free, I don't think it left the makeup too radiant where touching up couldn't fix anything. I think overall this was actually a very positive experience with the reapplication. So then the second day, again, this is going to be bare skin because I wanted to see how this would look on bare skin throughout the day, but also how it reapply on top of itself on bare skin. And again, because of day one, I knew this wasn't going to have a white cast on the first application. It's working really nicely, but also note for the facial hair, this blends in flawlessly, even though I have some issues in like the periphery of my beard generally, because I generally actually just forget to blend in there. Working it in a little bit, completely gone, no issue. I found throughout the day, this maintained a very natural finish on my face. I didn't get very oily or very greasy. It wore really nicely throughout the day. I also worked out in this and I can confirm that it is pretty sweat resistant. It didn't run or get in my eyes or anything. This felt really nice on my face throughout the day with that. With the reapplication, this is a point of contention just because sometimes with these combo or even just regular mineral sunscreens, the first application might look okay, but it's always the reapplication things get a little hairy. And so with this, you can see on the screen as I reapply it, initially it just is very white and I'm working into the skin and I'm a little bit concerned. But after 5 to 10 minutes, this sets down and to me, I didn't notice anything very drastic. It wasn't like there was this white cast out of nowhere that was really exacerbated and I looked horrible. This might have clung a little bit more so in the hairline and facial hair than I would have liked. But again, with that, if you just like really work it in, it generally dissipates very nicely and it looks a little bit better. My boyfriend though, he looked at me and he's like, you don't have a white cast, you're not necessarily toned up, but I can tell there's something on your face now and you look just a little bit like more fair, if I could say anything. And so take that for what it is. You're gonna see it on screen, so you're gonna have a better opinion than I do right now filming this review. But overall, this was actually a really good situation. I think this does constitute being brown skin friendly and it does reapply nicely on itself on bare skin. So overall, my final thoughts on the Jack Black Oil-Free Sun Guard Broad Spectrum SPF 45. Does Ramon recommend it? I think so, yes, honestly. For me, what stands out about Jack Black is this sunscreen itself is objectively very affordable. I bought this here in the UK through Boots for £16. You get 118 mil, aka 4 fluid ounces out of this. So this is actually decently affordable just because it'd be like about what, £7 something for 50 mil, which is actually a lot cheaper than a lot of the sunscreens I generally review on this channel. On top of that, I would argue this is gonna be brown skin friendly because this looks great on me and I can tell from the texture of this, it's gonna be usable for a fairly diverse group of skin tones. As usual though, I'm not the spokesperson for the entire brown community. I will have links and references down in the description box for deeper skin tone creators applying this so you can see what it looks like on deeper, darker skin tones besides my own. So if you have deeper skin tones, do check that out in the description box. But overall, I had a great experience with this. This wore well, especially in the facial hair and with makeup. Reapplication looked really, really nice, both on top of makeup and just on bare skin. If I could change anything about this, I would just want better filters if anything, but this is a US sunscreen. Can't ask for a lot out of that. So that's my only qualm with this, but being very, very water resistant, having a really nice oil-free, non-greasy texture to it, and being really elegant on the skin. Pretty much checked all my main points. Definitely recommend this one. And with that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and notification bell so that you know when I post more skincare, sunscreen, and fancy related content on my channel. Give this video a thumbs up, and again, down below in the comments, tell me, have you used this? Do you love this? What was your experience with this? And also, what other water and sweat resistant sunscreens are you loving if you work out or exercise regularly? Just because I might be working on a little something, and I'd love your input on that. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.